Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around someone? 'Cause don't you wanna have fun?
Okay, everybody, so I got so busy that I completely forgot to do an intro for this. So here is what this piece looked like before, and we are going to just jump right into it. I stripped the top down. I started with an 80 grit sandpaper just to do the edges around the top of it, and then I used a chemical stripper to strip down the very top of it, the flat area. If you are new to my channel, my name is Crys'Dawna. I am a furniture artist, and this is my channel, so welcome. If you are coming back, thank you for coming back. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, and then remember, everything I use is always in the description below. So I went in with a chemical stripper. I do live in Germany, so I have people ask me quite often what kind of chemical stripper I use. Unless you live in Germany, you won't be able to get this one. After I applied my chemical stripper, I let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then I took my plastic scraper that I use all the time that has a scoop on it, and I used that to get it off. This is a veneer, and so I like to use my plastic scraper when I am stripping down veneer versus solid wood. Once I'm done with the chemical stripper, I'm going to go through and I'm going to neutralize and clean off all the debris and the leftover with mineral spirits. And then I'm going to wait for it to dry, and I will go over it with a 120 grit sandpaper. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to get any of the pre-existing finish off and get it ready for staining. In one of my previous videos, I showed you a Cerused finish over oak. It was the natural color of the oak, but today we're going to do the Cerused finish over stain with white wax. So I'm taking a stiff steel wire brush and I'm cleaning out the wood grain. This is something that's tried and true. It has been used by woodworkers and people for years and years and years. It's not going to ruin your wood. All it's doing is it's actually deepening the grain and cleaning out any kind of debris that's in there. So that way later on when you put the white wax, it sits in there a little bit more deep. I am going to put No Pain Gel Stain in Walnut on the top of this. So I am going to go with the grain and I'm going to apply this No Pain Gel Stain, and then I'm going to allow it to completely dry for about 48 hours before I put the next step, which is top coat. Once your stain is fully dry, you want to do just a thin layer of a top coat. This will make it much easier for your wax to wipe away for the next step, which is waxing. For my Cerused finish before, I used white paint, but I'm going to go in with white wax this time because I did get questions about can you use wax. So yes, you can. I'm going to apply the wax all over the piece. I'm going to work in sections, and you're going to go with the grain first, and then you're going to go against the grain once you're done putting it in there so you can really push it in. And then when you wipe it away with a microfiber cloth, you are going to go against the grain when you wipe it away. The other question I got after I did my solid oak table in that Cerused finish was, can you do it on oak veneer? And yes, you can. This is oak veneer, so you can do it on solid oak, and you can do it on veneer, and you can do it on other woods as well. And I will start working on other videos coming up, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to show you on oak veneer as well. Once I'm done wiping away all of my wax, I'm going to go back in about 15 to 20 minutes later, and I'm going to buff everything. Because this is a wax, it will act as a top coat, and since this is just going to be a little side table, I think that it's probably enough protection. I don't need to put an extra top coat like I did on my dining table. I'm going to clean the body of the piece now because it's ready for paint. So I'm using Dixie Belle's White Lightning, which is a TSP based cleaner, and I go over the entire piece with the cleaner, and then I take a clean rag and clean water and I go over it afterwards so I can remove any residue so I don't have adhesion issues. This piece is kind of musty smelling, so I'm going to go in with Dixie Belle's Gray Boss, and I'm going to put a layer of Boss so that I can block in the odors. And this is also going to just help make my colors a little bit more vibrant as well. I'm not quite worried about bleed through on this piece because the colors I'm using are darker, but I do want to block in that musty kind of old wood odor, and so that's why I'm putting a layer of Dixie Belle's Boss in Gray. I have 2 layers of the Boss on here. I'm going to wait for it to dry for 24 hours before I go in and do the next step, which is Peony. I'm going to take the Peony paint and I'm just going to use a cheap chip brush and I'm going to put it in all the raised areas, and this is so that later on when I wet distress, or I distress, I think I'm going to sand distress this one, but once I distress, it will expose some of that pink underneath. I'm going to be using 3 other colors. We're going to be using Amethyst, Cobalt, and Peacock. So I'm going to lay down a base coat of these colors first before I do my blending. So Amethyst is first, in the middle will be Cobalt, and then the top will be Peacock. And once I'm done laying down that base coat of those and I allow them to dry, then we're going to go in with our blending. I like to put a base coat down so that way I can work my paint and not have to worry about going down to the final finish. It also lets me visualize where my blends are going to be. When you're blending, you need a paintbrush for each color, you need a water bottle, mister bottle, paper towels, and a clean dry neutral brush. So the first step is to work in sections. So I'm going to mist the area, and this is the Amethyst on the bottom and the Cobalt on the top, and I'm going to dip my paintbrush in the Cobalt and I'm going to put moisture on that transition line right there. So we want to blend that transition line, and the key to blending it is making sure we have wet paint. And so I added some Cobalt there. I'm going to mist it, and then I'm going to add the Amethyst the way that I just added the Cobalt. Once you're done adding your initial wet paint, you're going to mist it, and then you're going to go in again, but this time you're going to start doing circles and horizontal and all the things. But we're going to take the Cobalt brush, we're not putting more paint on it, and we're going to start trying to blend these. So then we're going to take our Amethyst brush and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to keep the area misted, but we're not going to add more paint to the paintbrushes. Now we're going to go in with our clean, dry, neutral brush, and this is going to soften everything. So we're going to mist the area, and then we're going to do circles at that transition line, and we're going to do horizontal and vertical and diagonal, and this is going to bring everything together. It's going to soften the blend, do a final blending, and then the colors are going to look beautiful together. Next, I'm going to move up to the Peacock and the Cobalt, and I'm going to repeat the process the same exact way that I did the bottom with the Amethyst and the Cobalt. Now everything is blended, and I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to do my distressing to reveal the pink. Do you see the pink coming through? Super cool. So this is just it's a fine sponge, sanding sponge, and I'm using my 3x4 Electric Ray by Surf Prep, but you are going to want to use a high grit sandpaper to do that. You don't want to do too much distressing. So we're going to do some black wax, and this is what's going to really turn these colors into jewel tones. And so I'm going to apply the black wax right on top of the paint. We're not going to be putting any clear wax on it first because I really want this color to soak into the paint. So I'm going to apply the black wax all over the piece, and then we're going to rub it in and wipe it away at the same time with a microfiber cloth. Once I'm done applying my wax, I am going to put some Peony in all the carvings so that I have a little bit extra pop of pink on this piece. So I'm going to use a cheap chip brush, the same one I used to apply it on the piece for the base coat, and I'm going to dab it into all those areas that have carvings, and then I'm going to wipe it back with a microfiber cloth, and that way it stays in the recessed areas. And because the wax is water-based, you can layer the wax and the paints with each other. You just have to make sure that the wax is fully dry. The last thing I'm going to do is add a tiny bit of gold gilding wax just for a little pop of shimmer and just added dimension. Okay, everybody, it is late. This piece is done. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's some great blending, how to use different colors, how to make jewel tones with the black wax. Everything I use is in the description below. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you are not subscribed, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure you stay on for the nice staged photos. Happy creating, everybody.
Oh my love, you're such a fragile thing, I know. And with the winter comes the ice, the snow, but I'm here to hold. And oh my love, don't worry about the cold just yet. The trees haven't started to shed. Just feel the summer sun as it warms our bed. On